Shalom. Once again, brothers and sisters. Abad, Messiah's Abad, bond servants of Christ. Today is the final chapter of the feast days of Yahweh. And I pray that this 5-part series of 7 holidays has been educational and made you curious enough to at least celebrate them once in your life. You don't have to, like I said, grace abounds. But the law abounds, grace abounds more from the beginning. I'm going to end with that. So if the law told you to give 10%, grace tells you to get more. To give more. That has always been the case. So let's go on. We're now going to talk about Feast of Tabernacles, tents. Historically, the Hebrew children, the Israelites, roamed the desert because they did not believe they could take the promised land, and they rebelled against the 2 spies that said, hey, just take the land, and they didn't take the land, so God punished them. This is a misunderstanding, and most jerks like, oh, if they had GPS. No, God would have made the GPS fried up, okay? They wandered because they sinned for 40 years. I know jokes are jokes, but time to get something straight. If they would have been like, yep, let's take the promised land, they wouldn't have been in for 40 years in the desert. Nope. They would have been there soon. So after Mount Sinai, which is the whole book of Exodus, and Leviticus, because I don't think they really did anything in Leviticus. Boom, numbers come. It could also be translated as wanderer, because that's what the Hebrew means. It's not actually, the Hebrew doesn't mean numbers, it actually means wanderers, but we put numbers in over numbers because there's a lot of numbers and directions in that thing. But also, the book itself could be numbers, so that's where and how we know anything. And Deuteronomy means second law. So, yeah. Genesis just means beginning. Exodus is when they exit out of Egypt and went to Mount Sinai. Leviticus means law, so they received the law. And Numbers means wanderer. Well, it could also be named wanderer and still be accurate. And then Deuteronomy means second law. So because they rebel, they lived in tents. So every time they celebrate tabernacles, you're supposed to live in a tent to remind yourself that your Israelite, Hebrew ancestors lived in tents for 40 years. That's all. That's how you celebrate. That's the historical event. That is the celebration of today. Now let's put Jesus and prophecy in here. And in John chapter 1 it says that Jesus tabernacled, the Word became flesh and tabernacle. He tented among men. And the tent is a non-permanent home, right? Or where you live, dwell, right? So this is fulfills some messianic and even non-messianic reform or scholars would also believe that Jesus was born during tabernacles and not Christmas. Right? So this is part 1 of that tabernacle. At the eternal God tabernacled among men as a man. The second part of this is in the second coming. At the temporal, human beings, you and I, the flesh, were tabernacle with the God, eternal God, for all eternity. Right? That would be prophecy fulfilled. So that's how that goes. So, and then how does that relate to a marriage covenant? Well, it relates because after the wedding ceremony and the bride is proven to be worthy of the groom, and that the father did not sell the bride to the groom under false contents and was honest, then guess what happens? The bride, after their honeymoon, gets to go home and tabernacle with her new husband for as long as they may live. Now, once you get married, you're supposed to have like a whole, 1 year Sabbath off where you're not supposed to go to war for a whole year. That was the custom. And we know that Jewish people do not follow customs too well, because that's why you have the First and Second Kings and First and Second Chronicles all begin with the concept and the idea that this king did what was evil in the sight of God, and this king did what was evil in the sight of God. This king did the most evil in the sight of God. And then you have Hezekiah, who did something right in the sight of God. He obeyed the commandments and took down the high places. Some just did what was right in the sight of God, but did not take down the high places. High places were places of idolatry, or where they would worship God without actually going to the temple as they were commanded. So they were, not good places. So taking down the high places were pretty good. So that's kind of, I don't know how I got on that rabbit trail. I'm sorry. But that's what it was. It was God doing, But yeah, so, the marriage covenant. So yeah, now he goes home. The bride gets to tabernacle forever. In this case, the bride of Christ now gets to tabernacle forever with Christ for all eternity on a new heaven and a new earth. Oh yeah, I was talking about a Sabbath year when you got married. So, in my own opinion, if the millennial reign was literal or figurative, to me, it wouldn't matter. It would be equivalent to the Sabbath rest, the marriage Sabbath rest, if you will, for a whole year. Right? And then when we get into it, but really, that would not be complete. It's kind of a mystery. Because when we get to when the new heaven and the earth come, because it's not us getting to heaven. Heaven is, like I said, a temporary stay until we are tabernacle with the eternal God in the new body, in our uncorruptible body, in the new heaven and the earth, as our incorruptible earth comes and is created. And the purest form of heaven is revealed, which is a mystery to me. We get to tabernacle on the new earth with our Messiah, right? So it's kind of like if you had a 5-point answer to say heaven would be like 3 out of the 5 points, when the 5 out of 5 points is a new earth. That would be the most correct answer when we get to be part of the new earth with our new bodies. So yeah, we will still work. Because there will be fruits, and each fruit will have its season, so the fruit will change season. It may not die and turn orange and brown and red and die, and it may just go dormant and not grow its fruit, but still be green all year round. I don't know how the seasons work in heaven, but there will be a fruit for each season. Kind of like there's a fruit in each season here. We have pomegranates in the fall. We have citrus in the winter. We have mulberries in the spring, and we have olives, I think, in the summer. Maybe summer going into fall. I don't like olives. I don't know when to pick olives. And you can tell I live in the desert because I just pick desert fruits. And yes, olive is a fruit, even though it's poisonous until it's been properly treated. So yes, tabernacle is when we get to tabernacle with the Messiah for all eternity on the new heaven and new earth. So now let me close with the Levites' prayer. So may Yahweh bless you and may He keep you. May He be gracious to you. Oh, yeah. Be gracious to you and show His face to you. Well, let me start over. May the Lord bless you. May He keep you. May He shine His face upon you and be gracious to you. May He lift up His face to you. Yeah, sorry. And establish peace for you. I think I get it right. I say it so much I get things messed up. So, Shalom. May the God of peace establish peace for you, the peace that passes all understanding. And may you dwell in the secret place of the Most High for the rest of the days of your life. Amen.